Hello everybody, Toreno here, and today I'm going to be looking at Norwegian tanks that can be added to War Thunder. These vehicles will probably be added to the Swedish tech tree, helping to fill out gaps or as premiums. Norway was somewhat late in adopting tanks, with only one Swedish L-120 tank informally known as Riksdagen in service before World War II, and this was only armed with a machine gun. After the war, the Norwegian army was re-equipped with more modern equipment from America, as well as some German tanks left over from the occupation. However, as these tanks grew obsolete, Norway started to upgrade and adapt these older vehicles, as well as ordering new vehicles adapted to Norwegian needs from abroad. It is these tanks we will be looking at today. The first tank we are looking at is the NM116 Panserjager, an upgraded variant of the American M24 Chaffee, which Norway had received in the aftermath of World War II. While the Norwegian military liked these vehicles, it became apparent as the years went on that it needed some serious upgrades, especially to the armament, which would struggle to deal with a T-55, let alone later Soviet tanks. This led to an upgrade program, with the new tank being called the NM116 or Panserjager by some. The first big change is the replacement of the existing main armament, the 75mm cannon, with a French D/925 low pressure gun, which is somewhat similar to the Panhard AML-90's D/921 gun. This new gun uses heat FS shells as its primary ammunition, giving it a penetration of around 320mm at a 0° angle. Again, the same penetration as the AML-90's D/921 gun. As you might imagine, this is a massive upgrade for this tank, as the previous 75mm gun in-game has a maximum penetration of 104mm at point blank range. Not only is the main armament upgraded, but the coaxial 30caliber machine gun has been replaced with a 50caliber machine gun, while still retaining the roof-mounted 50caliber machine gun. Additionally, the bow machine gunner's position has been deleted, reducing the crew by one, while giving additional ammunition storage space. Lastly, a laser rangefinder has been installed, helping to improve accuracy. Armour is unchanged from the original M24 Chaffee. There have also been some major changes with regards to mobility, with the 220 horsepower petrol engine exchanged for a 260 horsepower diesel engine. This actually reduces the top speed to 47 km an hour or 29 miles per hour, offset by the increased power for better getting around snowy and hilly terrain, a more important feature in Norway. As mentioned before, crew was reduced by one due to the deletion of the bow machine gunner position, leaving the final crew composition at 4, a driver, gunner, loader and commander. Overall, I think this would be a really good tank to have in War Thunder. It would be interesting to see how people play it, as you can't stick around for stand-up fights, but your speed is now reduced, so less viable as a flanking tank. Though maybe it can use its increased engine power to make its way to areas a tank wouldn't be expected to be, but this is just speculation on my part. Ultimately, I think a battle rating of around 6.7 would be the best place for this vehicle, about the same as the AML-90. The second vehicle we'll be looking at is the NM142 Rakettpanserjager, an M113 APC fitted with a tow missile launcher system. Unfortunately, there isn't really much to say about this vehicle, as only the armament has really been changed. The NM142 is essentially a regular M113, but with two tow missile launchers, each fitted on opposing sides of a turret. As with other M113s armed with this weapon, this would likely be armed with the 71B and 71C ITO missiles, giving 430 and 630mm of penetration respectively. Armour remains the same, while speed is likely to be roughly the same as on the pre-conversion vehicle, at around 65 km an hour or 40 miles per hour. Crew complement is 4, consisting of a driver, gunner, loader and commander. Much like other vehicles of this type, I think a battle rating of around 8.0 would be the best place for it. The last vehicle we'll be looking at is the CV9030N, a variant of Sweden's CV90. This differs from the original Swedish vehicle in a few different ways. First of all, it is armed with a Bushmaster Mark II 30mm cannon instead of the usual 40mm Bofors cannon. In-game, this has a penetration of around 110mm at 500 meters at a 0° angle, which is pretty good, but inferior to the 40mm Bofors cannons, 137mm at 500 meters at a 0° angle. It is also slower firing, managing only 200 rounds a minute to the Bofors 300. Armour is slightly improved with additional armour added to the front and sides, giving some increased protection against autocannons, which makes this somewhat superior to the Swedish vehicle in that regard. Mobility is roughly the same as the Swedish vehicle thanks to an upgraded engine, meaning about 70 km an hour or 43 miles per hour, though possibly slower in practice. Crew complement is 3 with a driver, gunner and commander. Unfortunately, this variant was never equipped with any missile launchers, which would have vastly increased the firepower of this vehicle. When added to War Thunder, I believe this vehicle should be added at around battle rating 10.0 to 10.3, about the same battle rating as the STRF 9040C. Here it would likely find some success as a flanking vehicle, being somewhat more protected against autocannon fire than the 9040, while its gun will still be more than adequate at dealing massive damage with flanking shots, albeit with a slightly lower success rate on account of the lower rate of fire and penetration. So that's it for today's episode. I hope you've enjoyed this quick look at potential future Norwegian tanks. I'd like to hear in the comments your opinions on which of these vehicles you would like to see added to War Thunder first. Personally, I'd love for the NM116 to be added first, as it's a massive upgrade to an already very good tank, which will allow it to stay relevant well into the higher tiers. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next time.